Hi, my name is Reverend Marguerite Morris, and I'm the mother of the deceased Katherine Sarah Morris, who died in 2012. I know that many of you, or I believe at least a few of you, have seen our efforts through the years to get a proper investigation into the handling of the death of Katherine Morris. We call her Kathy. That's my daughter Kathy. And you've seen it's been in the news, it's been on TV, it's been in various news, private broadcasts, radio programs. And so there's been a lot of effort that's gone on in the past 8 years, be 8 years in May, about her death investigation. But one thing we realized is I finally got to the point where we initiated a lawsuit for the first time that had to do with funding, and that lawsuit was suing the Anne Arundel County Police Department, or Anne Arundel County, Maryland, for fraud, conspiracy, intentional infliction of emotional distress, defamation, and libel. And I know someone might say that's extreme, and you also most likely know that that case was dismissed. It's on appeal, or about to be on appeal. And I think I need the county and individuals watching me tonight and in a series of clips that you're going to see, is that first, because something was dismissed does not mean that persons didn't do something. It does not mean that the Anne Arundel County Police Department officers did not make mistakes and do things that could arise, depending upon who investigates it, if it ever gets an investigation, that could have been criminal in the handling of the case. They had, for whatever reasons I'm going to explain to you, they wanted desired outcomes, and I'm going to tell you why that is a logical explanation, what that is derived from, in a series of clips. I can't do it all at once because it's really too much to handle. Most people are going to be overwhelmed, get bored, and leave. But this has been validated by experts from across the country. Experts. Forensic extraction experts, private investigators, multiple private investigators, pathologists, cell tower experts, experts from around the country, including active duty and retired police officers, that have said that what happened to Katherine Morris could possibly, quite possibly, have been something else, and that there are more than 55 inconsistencies. So what I intend to do, since we have scheduled a town hall for Anne Arundel County, that I think is important to the community, that the community be heard, because with the individuals that are volunteers with me, I know that these are impacted families, and if we have 4 or 5 impacted families that have gotten an audience because they've been vocal, there are probably many more that are frustrated and angry and feel no one is listening. I want to tell you that we're going to listen, and we believe you. We're going to listen, and we believe you, and we need you to talk about it. So let's go back to the case, because what I want to do is tell you about, in 2 or 3 minute clips that you'll see throughout the internet, maybe a little longer, what was dismissed. Okay, because a case is dismissed, it's dismissed because of technicalities, statute of limitations, other things. It could be dismissed because persons just wanted to go away in Anne Arundel County. And I want to say to you that I'm being recorded right now on a camera that was sent to me by 2020 to do what's called video clips. So I'm doing video clips for you out there so that you will show up, and you will also know what they dismissed. What did police officers do that have motivated individuals for several years to keep pushing, to sit me down at this very desk that you're seeing me at tonight, and sit with me and say, you need to look at the death photos. You need to look at that, Miss Morris, because you need to be able to advocate for your daughter, and if you don't see the mistakes or what's reflected in these photos, then you can't properly be her voice. They've sat with me through that. They've told me that she couldn't have done the things that you're going to see to herself. And I don't know how graphic I'll get, but one of the things I am going to do is I'm first going to focus on the police officers. We're going to take, in what you're going to see is we're going to take the actual officers, and you're going to hear their names. We're going to say what we're alleging they did, and we want to show you the evidence that supports that. with the hopes that that'll motivate individuals to see why this is an issue. Because these police officers are still on the force. They haven't gone away. They were on the force back then. They were on the force when, but anyway, let me get focused here. First of all, in 2012, some of you may know that there was a validated and real corruption scandal in Anne Arundel County. That scandal made news across the country. The scandal was that the county executive at the time, Leopold is his last name, he resigned in disgrace and was actually charged for corruption. Then at the same time in 2012, you had the police chief, James Tier, who allegedly resigned in lieu of being charged criminally for the part that he played in the things that Leopold was up to. You have these individuals, you have corruption running rampant at that time, and Katherine died in May of 2012. Her death was ruled a suicide within 48 hours. There was very little investigation, primarily because the officer that handled that investigation was Officer Keith Clark. And according to Jim Davis, the retired police officer Davis, not Jim Davis, but according to him and what he told my family, was Clark or the responding officers were not experienced in processing what could have potentially been a homicide scene. Hear me about that. So from the bat, they made numerous mistakes at the death scene. Now you have that unfolding while the chief of police and the county executive are coming up on alleged charges or in the midst of a scandal. And so Kathy's death investigation was done, and then the family asked for a reinvestigation. So you have the reinvestigation that was asked for, and we also contacted Congressman Steny Hoyer, who then launched a congressional inquiry. And I mean, that sounds like big fancy words, but it was basically, he sent a letter inquiring about how the death investigation was handled. Now, Anne Arundel County never properly responded in writing to the congressman's inquiry. I know that because we made several calls to Congressman Steny Hoyer's office asking whether or not the police had responded. So what you have is you have a corruption scandal, you have a congressional inquiry come in, you have a police officer that's going, the retired police chief or then a police chief, that's in the midst of that. And what we are alleging is that we know that someone in authority gave an order about that reinvestigation. We are alleging that James Tier, and yes, I spoke his name, gave an order about the reinvestigation to control the outcomes of that reinvestigation. So we have that because remember, if some of you have been following this, we filed a MPIA, Maryland Public Information Act request for internal documents, upon which they finally, after a year, released about 9,000 some plus pages of documents. Within those documents were some internal communications. We're going to let you see those communications because the police department have never answered as to why they made certain statements. We have internal emails flying back and forth at which certain officers were actually directing or making comments, even Altamari making comments about this investigation. So that is one of the main reasons why we're going to show you this evidence. We're going to let you come to your own conclusions. And again, you have the Chief James Tier that we believe ordered the reinvestigation, but he also ordered controlled outcomes. He was basically, and I'm paraphrasing, reinvestigate, but make sure it stays a suicide. Then you have Officer Carbonaro, Vince Carbonaro, who we believe and we're alleging took that order seriously and therefore did not do a stellar job. Anything we believe that you're going to see from the evidence that might have alluded to anything else happening to that African American child or young lady named Katherine Sarah Morris. The documents show, or will show, or might show, if you're looking, you may come to a different conclusion. You're free to come to whatever conclusion you want to come to, but show that he quite possibly suppressed, manipulated, and omitted evidence. If you've seen the movie Just Mercy, you'll know that they even got recordings of prior interviews. We have the actual voice recording of an interview that this experienced detective did. And you're going to see how questionable that interview is. So there you have it. You have 3 police officers, we believe, are alleging, manipulated, and suppressed evidence. We have, actually, you have Chief James Tier. And by the way, Altamari was on the force back in 2012. He may or may not be innocent. We're alleging he was there. He may or may not know what went on. We do know that something went on. They knew about it. And we can't come up with any other reason why they would go to such extremes to not acknowledge the mistakes that were made. And I think, in my personal opinion, that they are still protecting James Tier. I think they're still protecting him. I think they're falling out in their seats right now because they know Reverend Morris has figured it out. She's speaking with fact, and they're counting on no one believing me. But I'm going to put it out to the public. You're going to see the evidence, and you're going to make the determination as to what happened in the death investigation of Katherine Morris. And let me tell you, people, it's no joke. The evidence you're going to see that seasoned professionals were supposed to have handled it, you look at it. I'm going to take it piece by piece. I may talk about some overviews of things that just don't make sense. And I'll tell you something. If you're doing an investigation into the death of a loved one and someone tells you the camera's sitting right there in front of you, you would hope the heck that camera was sitting in front of you. But every single time we think we were going down a path that was going to lead us to the camera, the path goes off to the left, it goes off to the right because something doesn't add up. So you people, you watch. You make the determination, and if you don't like what you see, you come on out on March the 28th for that public hearing, because we have in my personal opinion, we have a police gone wild in Anne Arundel County because there's no accountability. You got some really good police officers that lay their lives on the line. They're genuine, they're true blue, they do their jobs well, but you still got a few of them out here. Because everybody didn't retire and run away because James Tier retired and left the job. They're still on the force. Make up your own minds, America. Thank you very much. And let's go to the clip. It's 13 minutes.